Awesome. Well, welcome again, everyone, and welcome to all those who are going to watch this online afterwards. My name is Ella, and I am so happy to introduce my lovely, resilient friend, Maddi Niebanck. She is going to be chatting with us tonight and sharing her story of her stroke recovery. It's a pretty awesome one, if I do say so myself. So I hope there are lots of questions and discussion. I'm sure there will be. So please enjoy and meet Maddi. Take it away.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks again so much for having me join your meeting tonight. Really excited about it. My name is Maddie, and like Ella mentioned, Ella and I are friends through the brain injury community because I myself happen to be a stroke survivor. Um, to give you like a brief little bit of context and background to the situation, when I graduated from college, I went to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., and I graduated in 2017. I'd made the decision that right after I graduated college, I was going to go in for an elective brain surgery. Now, you might be wondering, why would you, an elective brain surgery for what? Why do you need to go in for that? Um, I had what is called an arteriovenous malformation, or as they call it, an AVM, in the right occipital lobe of my brain. Now, if any of you are familiar with AVM or maybe have had one, you might know that most people don't know that they have an AVM until it ruptures and they have to get rushed to the hospital or they have a stroke, something like that. Now, I was lucky in that I knew that I had an AVM because since I was 7 years old, I suffered from extremely debilitating, terrible migraines that actually culminated in a migraine that lasted 24 days over the course of I think I had it 3 years in a row. And my neurologist said, this is not normal. Like, you need to get a scan. We need to get this checked out. So he ordered me an MRI, and the MRI revealed that I had this AVM in the right occipital lobe of my brain. Once I knew that I had this, the question then became, what am I going to do about it? So naturally, I went in to consult with many, many doctors to try and get different opinions of what we should do. Half of the doctors said, your AVM is so big, we don't feel comfortable doing a surgery on it. And the other half said, your AVM is so big, you need to get it taken out immediately. So I got like a lot of mixed opinions, and I was like, what the heck am I supposed to do about this? I was told by the doctors that with each year of life was an increased chance of the AVM bleeding, with a 50% chance that it would rupture at some point in my life. And if it did rupture, a 10% chance of death. So the odds were not looking all that good. And I really didn't like the idea of having a ticking time bomb in my brain. So after meeting with all these doctors, I actually decided that I was going to go in for this scheduled brain surgery that I mentioned previously. So I had the operation scheduled at New York Presbyterian here in New York City. I'm from New Jersey. Now I live in Manhattan, so I live in New York. But I went in for the surgery because my AVM was so big. They had to do preoperative procedure, and it was the pre-op procedure that actually ended up causing a blood clot in my brain and bursting, which caused me to have a massive stroke there in the hospital. And I'm rushed into an emergency surgery. My neurosurgeon, fun fact, had actually just left the hospital to go home for a good night's sleep before waking up in the morning to do my surgery. And he's called back in immediately, like, she's having a stroke. You need to come back and do the surgery now. You need to stop this. So my neurosurgeon like rushes back into the hospital. As he's rushing me into the OR, he tells my parents, the situation looks grim. Like, I really don't know if she's gonna make it, but I'm gonna try my best. So everyone in my family was freaking out. They didn't know if I was gonna live through the night. Um, as it turned out, he was able to successfully stop the bleeding. He did remove the AVM from my brain. I was in a medically induced coma, and when I woke up, I was completely paralyzed on the left side of my body. I'm also left side dominant, so that was had been a very hard adjustment for me because now not only could I not move my left leg and walk, I couldn't move my left hand, which is my dominant hand, the left side of my face, I couldn't move or feel. I also couldn't speak or swallow. So I was basically starting from square zero or one, however the saying goes. I was starting from the beginning and then began a very long process of rehabilitation. So I did inpatient, where basically in inpatient, I learned how to sit in a wheelchair and then walk with a cane. And then I was discharged to the outpatient therapy, and I learned how to walk without the cane and get around on my own. And one thing for me is that, like, I like to set I'm very goal oriented and results driven. So I like to set goals for myself. So I had set a goal early on. I'm going to walk without the cane. Like, I will do whatever it takes to not have to use a cane. I had set a goal. I was asked to be a maid of honor in one of my friend's weddings. So I set a goal that I'm going to walk down the aisle in heels for my friend's wedding. I like to set like little milestone goals for myself that I can work towards achieving. Like, for me, that made it like easier to deal with and be like, okay, at least I have something I'm working towards. And while the progress doesn't happen in a day, it does accumulate over time. And I did see results, like the more effort I put into it. I previously had accepted a full-time position for a job because I had just graduated from college, right? So I was gonna start work, excuse me, and move up to Boston. That could not happen because I had to deal with my rehab and, just a lot of other things I had to get back to being able to do before I could think about working. I was starting to feel just a little bit left out as the months went on because all of my friends, they graduate college, they move somewhere cool, and they start a job and, carry on with their lives. And meanwhile, I'm stuck in the rehab center day after day, just always doing rehab and working on things like, oh, how can I walk without a cane? How can I move my left arm? Like, and I had to do cognitive therapy too, and speech therapy. So learning how to like organize my thoughts and how to hold a conversation for longer than 5 minutes. Like what I'm doing right now, talking to you guys for over 5 minutes, like that's something that would not have been possible like in the first few months after my stroke because I couldn't hold focus for longer than like a minute. And, I had to work really hard to build up the endurance so that I could do things like that. And I was going to cognitive therapy, I was going to speech therapy, but to me, it just felt kind of dumb. Like, I felt like, I shouldn't have to do this. Like, I just graduated from college. Like, I was going to go start a new job. Like, why do I have to do all these things that used to once be so easy? And why are they now so difficult? Why are they so hard for me? I While I was going through therapy, I reconnected with one of my very favorite professors from college, and I told him about these thoughts I was having of like, why did this happen to me? And why, like, I feel really bad that like everyone else is going on with their lives. I know you're not supposed to compare yourself to others, but I was feeling left out. Like, I should be working a full-time job. I should be going out with friends. I should be doing all the things that like a normal 20-year-old does. And my professor gave me like one of the best pieces of advice I think I've ever received. He told me, Maddie, listen, like, you have a very special opportunity here. You have the chance to reinvent yourself, to start afresh. And yes, you have to go through your rehab, but why don't you go ahead and take the time that you're not doing your physical rehab, your cognitive, your occupational, and devote that time to learning about something that you're truly interested in? Like, before the stroke, I had just accepted a random it wasn't random, but, like, not a job that I was interested in because I felt like I had to go down this certain path, right? Like, I felt pressured to just get something even if it wasn't, like, necessarily where I saw my interests or my talents in, and I tried to take what he said, like, "Take this time to really learn about something you're interested in," and I thought, "Well, if I could do anything, what would I want to do?" And I kind of stumbled upon fashion. I'd always been interested in fashion, but I thought I always thought, who would ever hire me? Like, I don't have the work experience in the industry, you know, I don't have the internship, etc. Who would hire me? I just started talking to people. I started having conversations, reaching out to my network, and then getting connected to other people as well. I ended up just conducting a series of interviews with people in the industry, everyone from editors to models to small business owners to fashion executives. And I wrote those findings into my first book, which was called Fashion Forward: How Today's Culture Shapes Tomorrow's Fashion. And what was interesting about that book is that I wove in anecdotes about how I was using the act of writing a book as a tool in my cognitive recovery. As I said before, like, to me, it just seemed kind of dumb. Why do I have to go through this therapy? Like, all this stuff used to be so easy. This is stupid. Sorry. But that's how I felt. But for some reason, when I was working on a book, when I had like a project with like a tangible outcome, like I'm gonna have this book published, that gave me more motivation to work on it. And little did I know, but I was working on those cognitive skills that I was doing in therapy. The skills of organizing my thoughts, conducting an interview, planning an interview, writing, talking to people, like all of these skills that I had to go through cognitive therapy that felt just stupid. It felt more practical to me when I was working on this project on this book. And I think the more interesting thing about this is that the feedback I received from my first book was not so much that people were interested in the content I wrote about, you know, the fashion industry and how I saw it changing, but more so about how they were interested in the personal anecdotes I wove in about my stroke recovery. And that is actually what inspired me to write the second book that Ella talked about, Fast Forward: The Fully Recovered Mindset, because that one's about the lessons I learned in the first few years of my stroke recovery, specifically around how to channel a positive mindset to enhance your outcome in your recovery, and just the importance of adapting and turning obstacles into opportunities. That's the thing that I always say. One of my friends told that to me early on in my recovery. He said, obstacles are opportunities. And I've really tried to channel that into all facets of my life and see, you know, we could be handed a really shitty situation. Sorry for for my language, but it's true. Like, none of us asked for this. We didn't ask to have a stroke or brain injury or, you know, whatever happens to us. It just did. We can't change the fact that something like that happened. But what we do have control over is what we choose to turn it into. So for me, when I say obstacles are opportunities, I tried early on to see my stroke as an opportunity and how I could use that to better myself and to help other people. And so I like to advocate, like, through my social media and with my books. And I'm actually now, if any of you are ever in the New York area, I'm launching a live event series to connect stroke survivors and their caregivers to each other, because as we know, an experience like this can be extremely isolating. And yeah, support is everything, I think, when it comes to going through stroke rehab. Like, the support system makes a huge difference. And what I really want is to help be that for other people. And I mean, we're all in this stroke support group right now. So I think we all probably understand how important connection and support is, because it's just hard. And we can all help each other find ways to turn the stroke into an opportunity to enhance our own recovery, to help other people, and to forge, well, that's not the right word, to blaze a new path forward for ourselves and for each other, and to help each other achieve things that we didn't know were possible. So, yeah, I guess that's the main thing that I wanted to say and want to leave you with, is that obstacles are opportunities. And to give you some examples, like, since I had the stroke, they originally thought I would never walk again. They thought I'd never work a full-time job. And here I am, 6.5 years out from having a stroke. I've been working full time. for like almost for 4 years, actually, almost to the day. 4 years of working a full-time job. I wrote the 2 books. I live on my own now. I moved out of my parents to New York City and I live independently. I get around. I can't drive, but I get around via, public transportation or Uber, things like that. Luckily in the city you can walk a lot and I love to walk. You can also take the subway, so that's very easy for me. I travel on my own. I just flew by myself to Vietnam and back. Um, so I really do feel like there is a world of opportunity in a tragedy such as a stroke. Like for them to say like, "Oh, you might never walk again," and, like, now, like I said, look at me, I'm doing all these things, and, even if there are things that I can't do that I was able to before, I'm trying to not see that as like a, "Oh, I can't do this," or "I don't," I try to not say I can't, and instead focus on what I can do and focus on the effort and the process of trying, to take one small step forward to where I wanna be. It's important, I think, to realize that it is like a step-by-step type of situation and to be okay with adapting to changing circumstances and adapting your goals and your idea of, where you want to be and what you want to be doing. Um, yeah, I feel like I just talked for a lot. So I don't know, maybe if anyone else has something to say or ask.
That was Maddie, you're such a good storyteller. You're just it's so great. Thank you for
Well,
your
thank you.
thank you for like everything that you had to say, but like I just feel like you're such a great storyteller. I could just see every single thing that you talked about. And I can relate to a couple things. Um, well, my train of thought tonight is just so off. Oh, when did you have your stroke? What day?
It was May 30th,
Uh,
2017.
yeah,
Are you also
mine
May?
mine was no, mine was April 9, 2017 though,
Did
because
you
you
say
said
April 9th?
yeah, April 9.
That's my birthday.
Oh shit.
Yep,
Yeah,
Aries.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, my stroke was 6.5 years ago. Like I'm coming on my anniversary.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, but like just the way that doctors like just prescribe like you're not able to this person is not going to walk, this person is not going to speak, person is not gonna, like they wanted to put a tube in my stomach because they were like she's not going to be able to swallow again.
Mhm.
And like people like my caretakers were like nope, you don't understand, Julie, like she has the will to do anything that she wants to do. So why don't you give her a chance to show you that she could swallow, and it took like a couple weeks for sure. I was on the whatever thickened liquids or whatever the mush, or being fed by a tube for a while. And but then now I'm not perfectly recovered and perfectly fine, but like there are things, but like it's just so fascinating to me, like how the doctors and medical professionals can write you off so quickly. And I get
Yeah.
that they don't want to give you false hope, but there's got to be somewhere that there's got to be a balance. Yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
If anyone else wants to ask a question to Maddie or just share something that resonated with you, feel free to unmute yourself.
I just wanted to, first of all, I'll say thank you for coming to share part of your story with us. I totally get what you meant when you said that your thoughts were, you couldn't speak for more than like a minute or something like that. Like I was the same way, but now, like I can't shut up. Like it's nonstop talking all the time.
Me too,
So
I'm the same way, Kelly.
yeah, so I need to like when I'm telling a story, I'll still get distracted and I'll start talking about the weather or travel or my
Mhm.
kids, or I'm all over the place. So I'm still kind of working on that. But yeah, I wanted to share that and also ask you when your second book comes out.
Oh, it's already out. It
Okay.
came out in 2020.
Just put it in the
Okay,
chat for
I saw
everyone.
the link. Okay,
Oh, you
thanks for
put the
that. I'll
link.
check that out for sure. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, and I just want to say how brave it is to share your story, and just to keep going like that. Like I totally agree with you when you say your mindset is very important, because I kind of had something similar where I always try to see the good in every single
Mm.
thing. I could be having the worst day ever, but I try and find one good thing in it, like just to keep um that mindset kind of going. So, yeah, that was all.
Oh, thank you, Kelly.
That was awesome. Thanks, Shelley, for sharing that. And yes, I put the links to both of Maddie's books in the chat. So if you guys are curious, you can open up those links and then just hit order now. And then you can read them and let
Thanks
them
for the plug, Ella.
Yeah, no problem. Does anyone else want to share anything that they
Did
felt?
anyone else have an AVM out of curiosity? No? Okay.
That's me.
Ella did, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is a similar like start of the story.
Yeah.
Yep. AVM buddies.
Yeah.
Maddie, if I may,
Mm-hmm.
I might be a little bit early in the recovery process, but I want to say thank you, of course. And I think, at least in my case, is more too stubborn to quit
That's
because
good. That's
there's
good, Claudia.
there's
Stubborn is good.
there's a little bit of negativity in the European meals life of middle age, a little older than yourself, but like a little bit of negativity, and people are just ready to wake you up to say, "I'll go in the corner and die." Like, be quiet. Wow, aren't you dead yet? I'm. I got things to do. I was in hospital for 5 months, so it's like I don't want to go. I'm
Mm-hmm.
too stubborn to quit. So, I think what you said did resonate because you tend to get a little negative at times, but having the support makes you realize you're just too stubborn to quit.
Exactly. And being able, it's okay that we go down and feel like badly about our situation and everything, but what's the important thing is how we can, elevate ourselves from that, how we can bring ourselves up. And it sounds like you have a pretty amazing attitude around that, Claudio.
I don't believe in quitting because as easily as my medical team around me, I guess.
Exactly. That's amazing.
Rehab 4 days a week. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Claudio.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to your
Thank
first meeting too. So great to have you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.